You're listening to the Majella Says podcast, where we acknowledge that life is about money. It's just not only about money. I'm Majella, your host, and in all honesty, I am no money expert. I've had my fair share of failure. In fact, this last year, we came as close as you possibly could to being broke. We're now in the process of rebuilding our lives from scratch, choosing hard now so that we don't have to live a hard life forever. My whole world revolves around trying to create a better life for our family, where we can be outrageously generous with our resources and our time. We're breaking down the money taboo because, let's face it, money touches everything. We can pretend like it's not important, but if we don't learn to control money, it will control us. My last episode was 41 weeks pregnant. In that video, I explained how we were almost broke and how we were going broke, and I was about to give birth. And I was very hopeful. We were both very hopeful. We didn't actually believe that we would find ourselves basically homeless with no way of paying rent with a brand new baby. Actually got to the point where we only had enough money left in our bank account to pay for 2 weeks worth of rent. And once that was gone, we were stuck. We had nothing. So we had to break our lease and figure out what on earth we were going to do. We dive into all of that in today's episode and where we're at now, with a 1.5-year-old, how we've got ourselves back on track, how we're feeling, what our current portfolio / net worth looks like, what our income is. We get into all of it. I'm excited. Thanks for lending me your ears to tell you this story. It's a bit haphazard, I have to say. I do go all over the place because I'm trying to remember as I go. It's hard to talk about, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it in the name of breaking down the money taboo. So, thanks for joining me. Hello, welcome to episode 2 of Majella Says, where we talk about life with a sprinkle of money and entrepreneurship. It's a place to chat. But we're still, involved in the world of finance and business. We're just little wannabe business owners over here. Today I'm going to be giving you a real-time update of where we're at financially, a little portfolio update, stock take. But before we dive into it, I wanted to give you a little rundown of who we are and what we stand for, what our values are, because, if I'm going to be gracing your ears for 45 minutes or so every week, you want to know who I am, right? Who am I? The big questions of the world. I'm 28. Am I 28? I was born in 1995, 99, T5 babies. Hello. I'm being weird. This is not an accurate representation of me. I'm obviously a bit nervous. Okay. Anyway, born in 1995. So whether that makes me 28, 29, this is not a good start. This does not show that I have any math skills whatsoever. Don't even know my own age. Bit cliche, isn't it? Anyway, late 20s, nearly 30. I'm married, love of my life, to Connor. And I have a beautiful little baby boy, Henry, who is 16 months old, so a year and a little bit, almost a year and a half. Oh my gosh. We could do a whole episode on him every single week. I'm obsessed. He's the happiest little boy. We actually got so super lucky. I can't believe it. I'm genuinely afraid to have another baby because, will they be as good? I don't know. When everyone says they have the best kids and they're so blessed and they're so grateful, I'm just like, yeah, but you don't know Henry. We actually have the best baby. Anyway, enough of that. So yeah, we're a young little family who are super dedicated to building wealth. And I know that sounds a bit icky, but if you're here, hopefully you're one of those people who don't find it icky, because you know what that actually means to us, which is we're financial freedom seekers, which means that we have a burning desire for time to spend with our family. Our family is the most important thing to us. And we just want all the time in the world to be able to spend valuable time. Now I feel like I've said time 100 times. Oh, there we go again. But honestly, that is our driving motivation for everything. It's to be able to be there for our children when they need us, have enough money that we don't feel limited in any way. If we need to take time off work, we can. If we need to drop everything and be there for a family member, we can. That is our driving force, and wealth is the tool that will get us there. It's also incredibly fascinating to me how people build wealth, how they manage their money. It's deeply rooted out in our psychology, and I find that truly fascinating, that this like tangible thing, like paper and coins that we have assigned value to, can be so powerful and really touch every aspect of our lives. You know, we all think that money doesn't have a place in our lives, in our happiness, and it shouldn't have the power over us that it does. Money doesn't buy happiness, or you shouldn't bow down to money. It shouldn't be the driving force in your life, right? How many times have we heard that? But at the end of the day, money touches everything, and so does business. And I think that it's something that we can harness and that we can actually gain control over so that it doesn't have control over us. Anyway, that was a really long-winded little intro for you into our world and why we're so obsessed. It sounds bad, right? To be obsessed with money, that sounds bad. But I'm fascinated by it and I love talking about it. I think in this day and age, we're in like the money taboo breaking era, which I love. I love that people are more willing to talk about it. I love that I can approach the topic of what's your income without feeling like that person's going to be offended. It's still a bit touch and go. You still get the none of your business response sometimes. But overall, I have a little bit more confidence to bring it up with people and to talk about it in a really non-judgmental, open space. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited that this is the era we're living in, where people love to talk about this and they're more open to it. They understand the benefits of talking about it. Honestly, if we were stuck in the money taboo era where you don't talk about money, that's not what you talk about. That's rude. That's rude to talk about money. If we were stuck there, I feel like the class gap grows. Like talking about it and sharing the education and sharing the knowledge, that's how we jump a class. You know, that's how we actually tear down the class system. And I'm not, let's not get too political here. That's not what we're here for. But it just makes it a more free-moving society where people have control over their lives. And I'm all about learning and sharing, learning together. One of my old bosses, Ree, shout out to you, Ree, if you ever listen to this. Probably not, because I don't know who's going to listen. Anyway, I loved what she used to say, which was, we're all learning together here. We all learn together. And it really struck a chord with me. And I think like that's what we're all doing, right? There's so much imposter syndrome and everyone thinks that everyone knows more. And really, we're all just learning together. So anyway, now I've made it 7-minute intro. But let's get into it. So the last you heard from me, I was 41 weeks pregnant and on the cusp of being broke. But we were broke at that point in time. We were asset rich and cash poor. So we had, $2,000, I think it was, $2,500 in the bank with a baby on the way, 41 weeks pregnant. But we had money invested in stocks and in 2 different sort of property endeavors. And we thought that we were going to get the payout for those in March of 2023. So we thought it was this beautiful divine timing that both of those property investments were coming to their fruition. I don't know what the official term is. Right when we were due to have our first baby. And we were like, oh, how beautiful is this, Anyway, it didn't happen. Spoiler alert, didn't happen. So we were renting in the Gold Coast, which ironically we moved up to the Gold Coast because it had low rent in the years prior. And we wanted to be with family and the weather and the beach and, take advantage of, while we didn't have a big family, that we could live kind of wherever we wanted. I had an office in Queensland that I could work in and Connor was location independent. So we were like, let's take advantage of it, move states, perfect timing. But ironically, the rent jumped. I think there was an article, I'll have to find it, see if I can put it on the screen. But there was an article saying that the Gold Coast was the most expensive city in Australia for rent last year at that time. So a bit ironic. Anyway, $2,500 in our bank account, baby on the way. I was 41 weeks pregnant, went to 42 weeks in one day. Would you believe that 41 week Majella didn't think it was going to go that far? Had a bit of a traumatic birth, story for another day, but Henry was healthy. Thank goodness. I would take any of the pain and anything so that instead of him, you know, I remember thinking that, like, at least it's me and not him. I'm the one going through the health problems, not him. Anyway, I digress. Renting a $650 a week apartment in the Gold Coast and no income. I had to stop my work, and Connor was working on the business, and when I had Henry, he was offered a job that would pay $1,000 a week, but for part-time hours. So we were like, hell yeah, this is awesome. You can still work part-time on the business. We were devoted to working on the business, because business, like, you can have an income, but an income has a ceiling at the end of the day. And owning a business and building wealth through property, that's how you're actually going to get to that financial freedom. We were like, cool, you can have a steady income, which is what I really needed. Being a new mum, I had that panic of we have taken too much risk and not enough stability. And so, yeah, I was really eager to have that stability. And that's what Connor had found. He'd found a job while he could still work on the business. We were like, this is awesome. Divine intervention again. We were really like, we have been blessed. Like, this has really worked out. Anyway, it was on like sort of a contractor situation. Yeah, he worked that for 2 weeks and then it stopped. And they didn't have any more work for him. The owner of the business went away. And yeah, they basically just strung him along for a few months. Like, oh, we'll have more work for you. We'll have more work for you. He was like, I've made this commitment. I don't want to go and get another job, kind of thing. And anyway, strung him along for so long. Poor thing. Yeah, 2 weeks of that income. And then we were just living off the government maternity leave, which how lucky are we in Australia that we have that. So we had that for 3 months. Look, it's not that high. I can't remember exactly how much it is, but we made it work, and we actually managed to save a little bit of money. Connor and I think our superpower, I think this is why we're in such a difficult position, our superpower is that we can live off nothing. Like, literally nothing. Yeah, all of 2022 in Bali, we didn't have an income. We lived off our small savings. Obviously, we're in Bali, so possible to do. But yeah, like, we are really good at not spending a lot of money. I feel like that skill dwindled a little bit for me when I had Henry, because I was like, look, I need to be buying coffee. I need to get out of the house. I need to go for a walk to a cafe, sit down, have a coffee, and that's my outing for the day with Henry in the pram. That's how I kind of survived that postpartum period. So and then also I had to like rebuild my postpartum wardrobe because my body was completely different. And yeah, so there was, money spent, but we've survived so far. So basically, yeah, we had a plan. At the end of that video, I was the 41 weeks pregnant and broke. It was like, yeah, we're sweet. Like, we don't have a lot of cash, but we have investments and we're going to get a cash payout soon. So we were pretty confident that this period of low cash flow would be minimal, like a few months at best. And we were really cutting it close with Henry being due at the same time as the influx of cash. We were supposed to get about $120,000 in March of 2023. That's what we were preparing for. It was about that, maybe 115. That's how much cash we thought was coming into our bank account. We were like, we're going to be so set up, like we can take our $15,000 emergency fund or $20,000 emergency fund, and then we can invest the rest. Like, we were so excited and just felt so blessed that we had set ourselves up so perfectly for when we had our first baby. And we were thinking, how lucky that we've been so smart. So smart with our money, because now as the business takes a downturn, we don't have to scramble and go and get a job. We can keep working on the business. We were like, patting ourselves on the back like we've done this so well. Little did we know, little naive Majella and Connor. You live and you learn, don't you? So basically, we get to the end of March. For the next part of the story, it might be a little confusing because we can't disclose everything that has occurred in the last year and a half or longer. There are a lot of moving parts in the chaotic world that we found ourselves in, and it involves other people. If it was just us and our poor decisions, or I don't know, if it was just our silly judgment that put us in this difficult position, if it was only us involved, we would 100% tell you everything. That is, both Connor and I believe in the spirit of transparency, especially if you're going to embark on this sort of podcast or like sharing your life. You kind of have to commit to sharing it in the most transparent way that you can. So yeah, we would tell you everything without hesitation. But for now, we need to keep some things out of the story out of respect for other people. And all you need to know just now is that we had a series of things that happened to us that were very difficult to deal with and made life very hard in a practical sense and from an emotional stance. Because of the things that happened to us, we made a series of not very great decisions. During this time, we didn't have all of the information available to us at once. Little parts of like a larger bomb were revealed to us slowly, like a dripping tap, until we realized that we were drowning. And we were constantly behind the 8 ball, making decisions based off half information before another bit of the story was revealed to us, and that meant that we had made the wrong decision. At the end of the day, what all of this meant was that our income was severely impacted and we had to drain our savings in order to pay rent. And by the time we broke our lease, we only had enough money in our bank account left to cover 2 weeks more of rent. So 2 weeks longer of paying rent and we would have had nothing. At this stage, we moved in with other people, which was a big strain on our marriage and our family life. Things were really hard at this point in our lives, and it was the hardest thing we've ever had to go through. As a result of all of this, recently we realized that we needed to make a big change, like a drastic change. And we both decided to go back to work full time. And in order to do that, we moved to Sydney. And just to clarify, because I know that this part of the story is a bit cryptic, but Connor and I, as a married unit, have always been very strong, very, very strong at our core. And we faced these issues together as a united front. And this difficult period of our life was not caused by issues between us and our little family unit. Like Henry, Connor and I have always been very strong, and I love them so much, and they are the lights of my life and the reason why we're getting through this. So yeah, sorry, that part of the episode is a little more structured than normal. I had to really write it out to make sure that I explained everything in a open but fair way. So yeah, but basically our plan failed. What we thought we were going to do to get out of our situation, we were so confident in it, it failed. Our business wasn't bringing as much money as we hoped, so we put that on pause. And I think, like, if anyone has been working on a business and not earning money, you might have that, you would have this understanding of the pressure that you have in that situation. So what I mean by that is you wake up every day and you don't know if you're doing the right thing. Like, you question everything you're doing. You think, is this what I should be putting my time into? Is this something I should be focusing on? Like, is this the best use of my time? And that questioning alone drains you. We only have so much decision-making power in a day, and it gets drained very quickly. And it also just means you can't have that laser focus. You can't fully back yourself or get behind any one activity or one task because you're constantly questioning, like, is this right? Should I be doing this? And so to have the feeling of our first business venture didn't really take off. Second thing was Connor working, which didn't take off. That's 2 huge blows to confidence and to trusting your gut and knowing what to do. So for both Connor and I, we've had real moments this year of like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? What do we do? If anyone has had a baby, you understand what it feels like to suddenly be so responsible for a tiny little human, and the stress of being, the stress of like having the confidence that you're going to be financially stable. I think even if you had a stable income and even if you had a good amount of savings in the bank and investments and you were very set up, I still feel like that worry is always present, that you're going to be able to look after your baby. So then imagine being in the position where you don't have enough cash to fund your life and to pay for rent. You try different avenues of getting income and all of them fail. This is where we were at and this is where we've been at. We're still currently there, somewhat in a better position now, but a year and a half of very much unstable life, not just financially, but emotionally, feelings of betrayal and hurt, which we're not going to go into. I don't know when we're going to go into that, if ever, but just know that that is also going on in our world. So it's a pretty crazy time. I'm so proud of where we have got to. I'm proud of how Connor and I, as a married couple, have come together, acknowledged how much the stress has impacted our relationship, working so hard to be a united front. I'm so proud of us and how much deeper our relationship has become due to this stress, this whirlwind of a year. It's kind of amazing to think, we only got married 3 years ago, 2021, we got married, and we've had to go through such a prolonged period of hardship already. So 1 out of the 3 years, 1.5 really, years out of the 3 years that we've been married, probably one of the hardest things we've ever had to go through, finding ourselves broke as new parents. But I think we've done a really good job, and I just can't wait to get him on next episode so that we can dive into that, balancing our relationship and all of the rest. So our next steps are I'm going back full time in 2 weeks. I've actually got myself a new job. We moved back to Sydney. We decided that in order for us to take entrepreneurship seriously, we needed to learn a little bit more about how big business works and get some new skills. We've both, decided to go full-time into the workforce. I was already, pretty set on becoming a lawyer and gaining those skills, and I'm really excited. Connor is currently looking for a job, and the job market has not been kind. Poor thing has been looking for a few months now. No bites. And he's a very qualified individual. He has an applied finance degree, got lots of experience. His experience is not common experience. It's not like your standard university, then went into a corporate job. So I think that's a real struggle for him. So we are looking at accumulation of knowledge and networking and trying our best to get ourselves into the corporate world so that we can learn some real hard skills, have the power of income to then generate wealth through investments and business. Because what we found, you can only save so much. I've told you, we were pro savers, pro budgeters, but that will only take you so far. If you do not have the power of income behind you, you will not be able to operate in business. You will not be able to invest your money. Power of compound interest comes from time in the market. And if you do what we've done, which is take years, we've been years out of the income game, basically years with a very low, very, very low income. And that means that we haven't been able to let our money compound because we haven't had enough money to pour into investment. We've taken a different tact. So, when we were younger and we didn't have a baby and we were fresh out of uni, so excited, and we decided to go all in. We quit our jobs. We went all into our business and we were like, this is the way to do it. Cut all ties. What is it? Like jump in the boat and cut all ties, burn the bridges so that you go all in and you don't have, there's no life jackets. What's that phrase? You sink the boats. That's what it is. you don't have a way out. The only way out is to succeed. This mentality did not work for Connor and I. We are both the kind of people who, when we get overwhelmed, like really overwhelmed and have financial stress, we shut down and we lack confidence, and we don't have the conviction that our actions are correct, and we question ourselves constantly. And so then we lose focus and we lose momentum. That sinking of the ships method didn't work for us. But it's pretty cool that we tried it. I think it's cool to know. I think it's really good to know that about ourselves, that doesn't work for us. We need to be operating from a spot of stability. And so if we can, harness the power of an income, then we will be able to bankroll our investments and get back into the business game. And it's pretty exciting. I think we were very lost for the last year, and we were not feeling excited. But I think now we're getting that momentum again. We're feeling like we have a plan. We know we're going to get a certain income. So right now, in the spirit of transparency, I am on 106 as an entry-level lawyer at a corporate law firm. We are expecting Connor's income to be about $80,000 a year. That's what we're thinking for an entry-level position. It could be a little bit less, it could be a little bit more, but that's what we're projecting, what we're using for our plans. But it is very exciting to think about the fact that we have a plan again, especially as our plan failed last time. So it takes a big hit to your confidence. You question everything. It feels good to be back on track and to be picking up the pieces. And so, as a little recap, I'm going back to work full time as a lawyer in a corporate law firm on an entry-level salary of $106,000. Connor is looking for an entry-level finance job. We're anticipating his income to be about $80,000. Henry will be going full-time daycare, which breaks my heart, but you choose the hard now so that you don't have to live a hard life forever. Currently, I think we have approximately $7,000 to $10,000 saved. We'll confirm next week. Investment in the property. We have 2 investments in property. One of them I think we have lost, and that's sad. It's a sad pill to swallow. I say sad intentionally, not hard, because it's just sad. And then the other one is we don't know when we're going to get it. So we lost about we lost about $46,000 in the one that I think we have lost. And then the other one is around $60,000 that we don't know when we're going to see. And it's not growing. That's how much it is. And so with every year that goes by, it is a diminished return, like ROI, but that's okay. You live and you learn. It's okay. It's okay. It's all okay. So, I think we have about 10 to 15,000 US dollars invested in shares, which are like index shares. So just the S&P 500. I'm not going to say which ones exactly they are because I don't want to get done for financial advice. But that's where we're at. Our super is sitting at about, I think mine's like 25,000 and Connor's is probably about 18. I'm about $70,000 or $80,000 in debt from student loans. So hex, yay. And Connor, I think, probably has a hex debt of about, I would guess it's like 40,000. It's quite significantly less than mine. So I'm sorry, I should have prepared these numbers for you better, but maybe we'll do a little recap at the beginning of the next episode. Connor's very good at having all of the data in front of him. He is the data behind the operations. I'm a concept person. Prior to all of this happening, we did have a net worth of over $100,000 once you took into account like hex debt and all of that. And now that would have dropped a little bit because we lost the $47,000 from the property investment. So yeah, we might do a little net worth recap in the next episode. Yeah, putting one foot in front of the other again. So that's where we're at. That's a very honest account of where we're at. Obviously, I haven't given you all of the details. We haven't quite decided what we want to share yet. I don't know if we ever will share the entire story, but I think we will share more than what I've shared today. I think it's so important to share when you fail. Like, it's so important. This is how we learn. Failing is how we learn. Like, we learnt by trying the sinking ships method. That's what I'm calling it. I don't know if that's actually what it's called. But by trying that, by, cutting all ties and going all in, we learnt that that is not how we operate. We need to be operating from a place of stability. That's so important. That's a huge thing to learn about yourself, especially if you're going to be running a business. It makes us realize that as business owners, we will also be needing to operate from a place of stability. So making sure we have that emergency fund, making sure we have backup plans and contingency plans. We are risk takers, clearly. We were willing to sink the ships, but we need to take risk from a place of stability. Huge life lesson, and we learnt it early, so pretty cool. We learnt it when the stakes were a bit lower, so it's not all loss, it's not all failure, and sharing those failures is how other people can learn. You don't always have friendships or places that you feel comfortable to share those failures, so I really hope that we can kind of create this conversation with you in a place where it's a feeling of safety, where you can identify your own failings and approach them from a way of failing forward. I love that phrase, failing forward. It's so powerful. It's so important to grasp that you can pick yourself up and keep going with a stronger, enhanced version of yourself. I'm so excited that we're doing this. I'm so excited to be having these chats and creating this safe space for you and for myself so that we can really chat about this and learn from each other. I think next week I'm going to get Connor to come on to the podcast and we'll have a little chat about how we've been rebuilding our world and what that looks like from a family perspective, what that looks like from an entrepreneurship perspective, and that balance of taking risk and stability, which we touched on today. I'm really excited. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for being here with me.